Remember that tomato sandwich you enjoyed last weekend? The pasta with rich marinara sauce from your favorite Italian restaurant? Those cherry tomatoes in your garden salad? They all have something in common, something that might explain why your joints have been aching more lately. For decades, we've celebrated tomatoes as nutritional heroes. The vibrant red fruit that brightens our plates and supposedly keeps us healthy. But what if I told you there's another side to the story, one that affects millions of Americans over 65, yet rarely makes headlines? I discovered this connection by accident. After years of unexplained joint pain that seemed to come and go without reason, I noticed something strange. The discomfort often peaked the day after enjoying my favorite tomato-based dishes. At first, it seemed like a coincidence, but the pattern became impossible to ignore. The truth is, those same tomatoes we've trusted as health allies might be silent contributors to your morning stiffness, that nagging knee pain, or those aching hands that make opening jars increasingly difficult. This isn't about fear. It's about freedom. Freedom from unnecessary pain. Freedom to make informed choices about what goes on your plate. And most importantly, freedom to enjoy your golden years with the mobility and comfort you deserve. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the surprising relationship between tomatoes and your joint health. What you learn might just change everything about how you approach your daily meals and how your body feels when you wake up tomorrow morning. Inside every tomato lurks something most food labels never mention: natural compounds that can trigger joint discomfort in ways you'd never suspect. The main culprits? Solanine and oxalic acid. These aren't artificial additives or pesticides. They're completely natural. Mother Nature created these compounds as the plant's self-defense mechanism. They protect tomato plants from insects and disease in the wild. But in your body, they can tell a different story. Solanine belongs to a family of compounds found in all nightshade vegetables. When it enters your system, it can behave like an unwelcome guest, triggering inflammatory responses that manifest as joint pain, especially in bodies already dealing with age-related inflammation. Think about it. Your body has spent decades working hard, and now these compounds can amplify existing inflammation, making movement more difficult and recovery slower. That garden-fresh tomato might be delivering more than just vitamins and antioxidants. The other troublemaker, oxalic acid, works differently but with equally concerning results. It binds to calcium in your digestive system, essentially capturing this precious mineral before your body can use it for bone strength. For anyone concerned about bone density, which should be everyone over 65, this is particularly problematic. The most surprising part? The redder and riper the tomato, the more it might affect your comfort. Those beautiful, vine-ripened tomatoes from the farmer's market, the ones that taste the best, often contain the highest levels of these compounds. Nature's irony at work. Understanding these hidden compounds isn't about eliminating joy from your meals. It's about recognizing why your body responds the way it does and taking back control of how you feel each day. You might be wondering, does this apply to me? The truth is, while tomatoes affect many people over 65, they don't affect everyone equally. Let's talk about why some people can enjoy tomatoes without consequence, while others pay the price with every bite. Your age itself is the first consideration. As we journey past 65, our digestive systems naturally become more sensitive. The protective barriers in our intestines thin slightly, allowing more of these problematic compounds to enter our bloodstream. It's not a flaw, it's simply part of the natural aging process. Women face unique challenges, especially after menopause. The hormonal shifts that protect younger women suddenly reverse, leaving joints more vulnerable to inflammation triggers like those found in tomatoes. That unexplained increase in joint discomfort that seemed to coincide with other life changes, it might have a dietary connection. Family history plays a surprising role, too. If your parents or grandparents experienced joint problems as they aged, you might have inherited not just their smile or eye color, but also their sensitivity to certain foods. This genetic predisposition often goes unrecognized, with many people blaming their discomfort solely on bad genes rather than specific triggers. The most overlooked factor? Your medication cabinet. Common medications taken by many adults over 65 can actually increase sensitivity to food-based inflammation triggers. These medications, while necessary for managing other conditions, can amplify the effects of compounds like solanine on your comfort level. The question isn't whether tomatoes are good or bad, it's whether they're right for your unique body at this stage of life. Understanding your personal risk factors is the first step toward making choices that honor your body's changing needs. Your body speaks a sophisticated language all its own, but are you listening to what it's trying to tell you? When it comes to tomato sensitivity, the signals can be subtle but consistent. That stiffness you feel when first getting out of bed, the one that seems worse on some days than others? It might be your body's way of flagging a connection between yesterday's meal choices and today's comfort level. Many people dismiss these fluctuations as random, never recognizing the pattern hiding in plain sight. Pay attention to timing. Tomato-related joint responses typically follow a predictable timeline. The discomfort usually begins 8 to 24 hours after consumption, long enough that most people never connect their dinner choices with their breakfast discomfort. This delayed reaction is precisely why so many suffer unnecessarily for years. Location matters too. While tomato sensitivity can affect any joint, it often shows up most noticeably in the smaller joints first: fingers, wrists, ankles. These areas have less cushioning and more nerve endings, making them early warning systems for inflammation triggers in your diet. The most telling sign? The inconsistency itself. Joint pain that comes and goes without apparent reason often has hidden triggers. If your discomfort seems to fluctuate without connection to activity levels or weather changes, your plate might hold the answer. What makes this particularly challenging is how these signals blend with normal aging. It's easy to attribute increasing joint discomfort to just getting older, when in reality, specific dietary choices might be amplifying what would otherwise be minor changes. Learning to decode these signals isn't about becoming obsessed with every twinge and ache. It's about developing a more intuitive relationship with your body, recognizing its wisdom, and honoring what it's trying to tell you about the choices you make each day. The good news? You don't have to say goodbye to tomato flavor forever. With a few simple kitchen strategies, you can transform how tomatoes interact with your body, minimizing the downside while preserving the joy they bring to your meals. Heat changes everything. When tomatoes meet heat, something remarkable happens. The structure of solanine begins to break down. A slow simmer works magic, reducing the compounds that trigger discomfort while actually enhancing the beneficial nutrients like lycopene. That's why many people who can't tolerate fresh tomatoes find that slow-cooked tomato sauce causes little or no discomfort. The marriage of tomatoes and olive oil isn't just about Mediterranean tradition, it's brilliant nutritional strategy. The healthy fats in olive oil create a protective buffer, changing how your body processes the potentially problematic compounds in tomatoes. This ancient food pairing, developed over centuries, contains wisdom our ancestors understood intuitively. Ripeness plays a surprising role too. Fully ripened, deep red tomatoes contain more of the beneficial compounds and fewer of the problematic ones. Those slightly underripe tomatoes found in many grocery stores? They're more likely to cause discomfort than their fully ripened counterparts. Even preparation method matters. Removing the seeds and skins, where many of the problematic compounds concentrate, can make a significant difference for sensitive individuals. A quick blanch in hot water makes skin removal effortless, transforming how your body responds to tomorrow's tomato dish. The temperature at which you consume tomatoes matters as well. Cold tomatoes, like those in salads, tend to trigger more sensitivity than the same tomatoes served warm. This simple temperature difference can determine whether tonight's dinner leads to tomorrow morning's discomfort. These kitchen strategies aren't about complication. They're about bringing ancient wisdom into your modern kitchen, honoring both tradition and your body's changing needs. The tomato world extends far beyond the produce section. From pasta sauces to ketchup to sun-dried tomatoes, each product affects your body differently. Understanding these differences empowers you to make choices that support your comfort while still enjoying the flavors you love. Tomato paste might be your new best friend. The intense concentration process it undergoes doesn't just intensify flavor, it transforms the tomato's chemical profile. The extended heat exposure during production breaks down much of the solanine, making it one of the most well-tolerated forms of tomato for sensitive individuals. A tablespoon adds rich tomato flavor to soups and stews with minimal impact on joint comfort. Canned tomatoes tell a different story. The brief heat of the canning process reduces some problematic compounds, but not nearly as much as slow cooking methods. For many sensitive individuals, canned tomatoes occupy a middle ground, better tolerated than fresh, but still potentially problematic in larger amounts. Pasta sauces vary dramatically. Those slow-simmered for hours, like traditional Italian varieties, typically cause less discomfort than quick-cooked versions. The label won't tell you this crucial difference. You'll need to look for clues like slow-simmered or quick and easy to guide your choices. Ketchup presents a fascinating case. The combination of cooking, straining, and added ingredients creates a product that many tomato-sensitive people can tolerate in small amounts. The vinegar and sugar in ketchup also alter how your body processes the remaining tomato compounds. Sun-dried tomatoes concentrate both flavor and compounds. While the drying process changes the chemical structure somewhat, the concentration effect means even small amounts can trigger sensitivity in vulnerable individuals. These intensely flavored morsels are best approached with caution if you've noticed tomato-related discomfort. Understanding these differences isn't about memorizing rules. It's about developing a more nuanced relationship with tomato products, recognizing that different forms offer different trade-offs between flavor and comfort. While managing your tomato intake is important, creating a body that's more resilient to occasional tomato exposure matters even more. Let's explore how to build a nutritional foundation that supports your joint health regardless of what's on your plate. Calcium needs change as we age, but most people don't adjust accordingly. After 65, your body requires more calcium, about 1,200 milligrams daily, yet absorbs it less efficiently. This creates a perfect storm where tomatoes' calcium-binding effects can have greater impact. Strengthening your calcium foundation through regular dairy or fortified alternatives provides a buffer against occasional tomato indulgence. Vitamin D works hand in hand with calcium, yet deficiency is epidemic among Americans over 65. Without adequate vitamin D, calcium can't properly strengthen your bones, leaving them vulnerable to the effects of compounds like those in tomatoes. Morning sunlight on your skin for just 15 minutes creates a natural vitamin D boost that supplements alone can't fully replicate. Anti-inflammatory foods create resilience. Colorful berries, fatty fish, and walnuts contain compounds that naturally moderate inflammation throughout your body. When these foods become daily habits, they create a buffer against occasional inflammatory triggers like tomatoes. Think of them as your body's natural defense system. Hydration plays a surprisingly important role. Well-hydrated joints have greater resilience against dietary triggers. Many Americans over 65 are chronically underhydrated, making their joints more vulnerable to the effects of inflammatory foods. Simply increasing your water intake can enhance your body's ability to process occasional tomato exposure. Movement itself is medicine. Regular, gentle activity increases circulation to your joints, helping them clear inflammatory compounds more efficiently. This doesn't require intense exercise. Even a daily walk or gentle stretching creates significant benefits for joint resilience. This foundation-building approach isn't about restriction. It's about creating a body that's naturally more resilient, allowing you greater freedom and flexibility in your food choices while supporting long-term joint health. We've journeyed together through the surprising world of tomatoes and joint health. Now it's time to bring everything together into a practical approach that honors both your body's needs and your love of good food. Start with awareness, not elimination. Rather than banishing tomatoes immediately, simply notice how your body responds to different forms and amounts. This mindful approach often reveals patterns you've never recognized before, like how fresh tomatoes might trigger discomfort while slow-cooked sauce doesn't. This awareness alone can transform your relationship with food and your body. Remember that individuality matters more than rules. Your body's response to tomatoes is as unique as your fingerprint. What triggers discomfort for one person may be perfectly tolerable for another. Honor your body's unique signals rather than following generic advice. Consider the context of your whole life. Stress, sleep quality, and other dietary choices all influence how your body responds to potential triggers like tomatoes. On well-rested days when stress is low, your tolerance may be higher than during challenging times. This understanding allows for flexibility rather than rigid rules. Embrace the power of occasional abstinence. Sometimes the clearest way to understand a food's impact is to remove it completely for a short period, then carefully reintroduce it while noting your body's response. This temporary experiment often provides clarity that no amount of reading or research can match. Above all, remember that knowledge brings freedom, not limitation. Understanding how tomatoes affect your unique body doesn't diminish life's pleasures. It enhances them by allowing you to make choices aligned with how you want to feel tomorrow, next week, and in the years ahead. The goal isn't perfection or deprivation. It's a more intuitive relationship with food and your body. It's about reclaiming the wisdom that allows you to wake up each morning with the comfort and mobility to fully enjoy this precious chapter of life. Your body has carried you faithfully through decades of living. Now, with this new understanding, you can honor it with choices that support the active, comfortable future you deserve. The power to transform your daily comfort has been on your plate all along. You just needed to recognize it.